Hi, I'm Tom Miggett from Tom Miggett Photography. In the last episode, we talked about Photoshop and the two most important features of it, which are the layers and the layer mask. Today, I want to talk to you about the two tools that I used all the time when I'm in Photoshop. The first one is what we call the clone stamping tool, and the next one is a spot healing brush. And to do that, I'm going to be using one of the images that was submitted by one of our members on the club, Tom Miggett Photography Club on Facebook. Lewis took that great image. It's very peaceful. I really love it. We've got a duck here crossing the pond. And one of the things that I've noticed on this image was the high grass here on the right side, kind of obstructing the view, I thought, and because there's only one. And also cutting harshly the trajectory of that duck. And I just was wondering how it would look if we could remove that high grass here and maybe the one at the bottom left right there, just to clean a little bit. And so to do that, I'm going to be using those two tools that I've just mentioned. So the first one, the clone stamp tool, is what you have here on the left side. It looks like a stamp, so it's easy to recognize. And make sure you select the clone stamp tool and not the one underneath, which is the pattern stamp tool, which I never use personally. And the way it works is very easy. You can see the icon of the mouse here to show the size of your brush, right? Big or small. Oops, I typed on the wrong key. So you can change the size. But when you click on the Alt key of your keyboard, you can see that the logo changes into kind of a target logo. And what it does is now you can select the source you want for your cloning. So I'm going wherever I want. So let's select that tree right there. And once I clicked once on it, and I now go wherever I want to clone it, I'm going to start clicking and cloning it. And you can see on the left side, I don't know if you can see it very easily, but there's a plus sign in the zone that I'm currently cloning from. And here you can see that it's not a very strong cloning, and the reason being is that at the top left corner here, you see the opacity is 50%. So what it does is going to make a merge of your cloning source and your target zone. It's going to make a 50-50 ratio. So if you change it to 100%, then we take the same reading as before. So let's make our source the same. And now I go here, you can see the big difference, right? The source is taking over 100% of the target zone. So that's what the clone stamp tool really is. It's a very powerful tool. The way you should look at it is it's not that very intelligent tool per se. All it does is I'm copying. I'm a copying machine. That's what I do. I offer you the ability to choose where you want to copy from, and you tell me where you want to copy to, and I do the rest. So not so intelligent. But when it comes to the spot healing tool, the one right there, which looks like a plaster. And there are a lot of options. There's a healing brush tool underneath, the content aware move tool, the patch as well. There's a lot of options. But if you choose just the spot healing brush tool, what it is, it's a tool that uses an algorithm in Photoshop. Or actually you can use several algorithms, but the one I really like is the one that's been introduced in Photoshop since CS4, and it's what we call content aware. And you know that it's that algorithm because on the top menu here you see proximity match, create texture, content aware. And I'm not going to go through all the detail here. I'm going to focus on the content aware one because to me this is the most intelligent one. Content aware, as the name implies, it's an algorithm that identifies the surrounding of the zone you want to change and will kind of recreate. So whether you want to erase something and replace it by whatever is around it, it will do that for you. It's a very, very smart tool. It's taking the best of what's around, removing what you have and replace it. It's a fantastic tool. And so one of the quick example to use it is if we go at the bottom left here, you can see there's a kind of a branch just sticking out. Doesn't bring anything to the picture, I would say. And so what you can do is you adjust your brush size and make it close to the object you want to remove, and you click on it, and you start covering exactly the object you want. And if you do this, here you go. It just disappears. So you can see the amazing potential this tool has, whether it's to remove spots on someone's face. It's really brilliant. Here there's another grass just sticking out of in the pond. You can just do something like this, and oh, it's gone. So that's why it's really, really cool. Here there's like another branch right there. Here you go. You can clean. There's another one here. You can do and some really, really cool stuff. So when it comes to that stem here, you could use it as well. So I'm going to increase the size of my brush here, just to make sure that I'm really covering the entire width of that branch. Note that in the last episode I did mention that every time I do a work I would do a duplicate of my background layer. You go to the layer panel here, you do a right click, duplicate layer. I didn't do it because this is not going to be a final image, but anyway, I'm going back here, and what I'm going to do, look how smart that tool is. I'm going to start there, and very easily I'm just going to go down and covering it, making sure that I'm really covering entirely side to side and all the way down. And now it's going to compute, and let's see. Right, pretty good, right? So there's some remaining, like just like this. So I'm just gonna go above it and right there, and maybe a tiny bit here. It's not really perfect. Here you go, and that's it. So that's pretty awesome, right? So now the top of that branch is still there, and I'm not gonna be using the spot healing brush, because if I was to use a spot healing brush, you will realize that it's going to analyze the surrounding, and there is a lot of water information, much more than let's say the grass around it or the green behind from the trees. And my fear is that if I start covering the whole head like this, it's going to start thinking that maybe it has something to do with the water, and it's going to start putting some water there. So let's create a layer here, just so if it doesn't work as we want, then I can delete the layer, and that will be easier. So I create a new layer. Sorry, I meant to duplicate the layer. So duplicate the layer now, and let's try, right? And I'm just covering the head just like this. Okay, up like that, and let's see what we get. It's computing. You see, not that great. There's a mix of water here, there's a mix of grass. It's really, really not good. So in that event, what you want is you want to really be the master of the decision. You really want to choose what you want in there. So what I'll do is I'm going to delete that layer. So I'll delete the layer, and I'm back where I was. And so I'm now going to switch to the clone stamp tool. So I'm select the clone stamp tool and make sure I'm on opacity 100%. And when I use the clone stamp tool, what I try to make sure, especially if I have lines, whether they are verticals or horizontal, making sure that I'm not going to break them. And you see here we have some horizontal lines. We've got the dark trail behind, we've got the water level here, but we also have the top of the grass that acts as a line. And so what I like to do is I like to use one of those lines. So I'm going to be using maybe right there, that line. And now that I've clicked on and selected my source, I'm just moving my mouse and making sure that my line is really matching the surroundings. So once I'm happy with it like this, I'm clicking on it and I'm just going above. And you see, look at this. This is really, really brilliant. I'm covering the grass, and I'm really happy with the results, right? It's covering. So now I'm kind of recreating the green thing, the green trees and so on, and it's okay. I'm pretty happy with the result here, and that's it, right? Who would know? Maybe it's a little bit wider than it should be, and that's it. So this is how you would use the clone stamp and the healing brush to remove that. And I quite like this. You could try to remove um, those here, those grass, they don't really bother me that much. But if you wanted to, there's you can use the content aware again. We can try that. It's just for fun. And let's select the tool. I'm increasing the brush. I've selected the spot healing brush tool, and now I'm just going to cover all over. It's computing, and let's see what we get at the end. You say not bad at all. So this is it for that. I wanted to show you some examples of where I've used actually earlier today the clone stamp tool and the healing brush. And I wanted to show you this picture. This is a picture of my daughter, and I did not take this picture. This picture was taken by my mom using an old camera of mine, the bridge, a Lumix bridge, an 8 megapixel bridge. And for whoever ever took pictures of children, it's very difficult to capture the moment and making sure that it's nicely framed and it's perfect in the setting. It's really hard. It's almost as hard as shooting a sport event. And here she did a pretty good job of capturing the expression. My daughter was actually watching a plane in the sky, and so she just took the camera and captured it. But when I looked at this, I was like, okay, no, this is really great when it comes to the subject, but this is not the framing that I would have chosen. And I'll do a video on the several rules in photography, and I know rules are meant to be broken, but before you can break them, you need to be aware of them. That's my take on that. And one of the rules that I like to apply is making sure that there is always more space, more room in your frame in the direction where your subject is looking. And here my daughter is looking up, and as you can see, there's not a lot of space above her, but there's a lot of space on the left side, and to me that kind of bothers me. So I wanted to know if I could do something better. And to do something better is, first of all, changing the crop ratio here. So to start, I would do a duplicate layer. So I duplicate this layer here, and now I'm going to the crop tool. The crop tool here is on the left. You see crop tool. And one of the cool thing that you can do is you start cropping. So to me, there's too much space on the left side. So I'm just starting to try to center my daughter a little bit, making as much space on the left that there is on the right, something like this. And now I want her to have more room above her head because she's looking at the plane. So if I do something like, let's say, like this. All right. So maybe that could be cool. So now I click enter. And the thing that I don't like as well in this picture is, unfortunately, the back of my backyard has this ugly fence, metal fence here, and I think we should use the clone stamp tool to remove that. And we've got this beautiful grass with flowers, and I think it would be a nice result to cover this ugly grill there. So what we're going to do now is go to the clone stamp tool, and I'm going to leave it 100% for now. And I'm going to take my source, and my source is going to be, for now, it's going to be right here. I'm going to take just there. I'm going to increase the size of it, and I'm starting right here. And you see, I'm just covering this. I just want to get rid of that grid. Here, there's a leftover of my daughter, and I'm doing this very, very quickly, really quickly. Here there was some branches on the left. I want to remove them, and now the point is really to cover this empty the checkboard that you have at the top. So I'm gonna clone this and make my image bigger. And now you can see the real potential of the clone tool. This is really cool. So obviously when you start cloning and you clone a lot like this, you've got kind of a ripple effect, which is not that great. But what we're going to do is we're going to use those flowers that we have on both sides, and we're going to start covering those right there. So what I'm going to do now is there's another tool here that's the blur tool. It's a cool thing, the strength at 100%, and as the name implies, it just blurs things. So I'm just gonna blur the background. You see, I'm just blurring everything but my daughter. Okay, and so once I'm happy with it, I'm going to I could use a layer mask and so on. I just want to make it go very, very quick so you guys see really the effect of the clone tool. So now I'm going back to my clone tool and I'm going to be cloning those flowers. And so I'm going to be using maybe over here. I quite like that as a source. And you see, I'm just going up as high as I can. And now we see that I'm going back to my daughter's head. So I don't want my daughter's head. So now I'm going to clone from the right side and I'm going here a little bit. You see, up, up. That's good. And I keep doing that. I keep going over it. I'm not afraid of, cloning and having some repetition and pattern. You will see why right after. So up, here we go. Doing something very quickly. We've got my daughter's head at the left corner again, but it doesn't really bother me at this stage. Here we go. Okay, and finally. Okay, so this is a very, very quick way, you would admit, to clone and make your image. To me, this image is already more interesting than what I had at the beginning, right? We had something like this, now I have something like that. That's really, really cool. However, one of the things with the clone stamp tool, and I see here I have a line, so I'm just doing this. What you notice here is we have some pattern now. We've got, look at this yellow flower here, it's all over the place, and it's a bit too repetitive because you can notice that you have a yellow flower and on top of it you have a white one, a yellow, a top one, a yellow, a top one, and this is repeating. Same thing with those flowers. So one of the things that I like to do is mix it up. So here we don't really have much white flowers. So I'm gonna clone and put some of those white flowers a little bit. Here we go, covering this, adding a little bit more of those flowers. Here you go, just to make it a little bit more even and But now you still see that there is a pattern. So that's where you can use the spot healing brush. And you're going to start removing some things. So, for example, here if I remove the yellow flower, it's not so much of a pattern anymore, right? So I remove this. Here we've got this big pack of white flower, which is the same as this one, but if I start cutting this, then it's not so much the same anymore. I could remove that flower, could remove the tiny bit of this one here, and here you go. This is pretty interesting. The spot healing brush as well, some other example, here you have a tiny thread, near the buttonhole. So you use a spot healing brush again and adjust the size of your brush, covering, and here you go, it's gone. Spot healing brush, also very good for spots, as I said. Well, my daughter has, like any kids, would have some saliva and spots on her cheeks and so on. So you can really do some really cool stuff, just going over and just clean the skin a little bit. So there are some software, some plugins. You could do a lot more work. Usually I would do a lot more work to clean the skin, but I just want to show you how you can do it with just using two tools here, the clone stamp tool and the spot healing brush. So hopefully you would agree that this image is a little bit more compelling than the initial one. There's a little bit more power to it. And I'm going to show you the final result that I've done with it. So here that was the initial one, so let me just change this. That was the initial one, and here's what I ended up doing earlier today. And you notice that I had left some of the trees that I have in the background and made some change of ground between the flowers and the hedge. So this is what I did, and cleaning the face a little bit more, so the result, the initial one. And you can also do it when you have pictures like this. This is another example of my daughter taken earlier today. So you know, she was in the moment. My mom who took that picture didn't have the time to actually frame it properly. And if we follow my rule of adding more space in the direction where your subject is focusing, then this is not that great, right? So what I did was trying to use a clone stamp tool and using the spot healing brush again, and this is what I ended up with. So if we put the two images next to each other, now you can see what I actually done. I cropped it, and then I actually had to rebuild some of the board behind my daughter, making as well this cushion that it's on the left side, making it bigger all the way to the top of her head where I wanted to finish my crop, and this is what you get. So and clean of course her face. She had a spot here on the chin. So this is what I've done, and this is it's been a lot of work to do this, but you see that's how you can use a day-to-day picture that looks very basic that you could take with your iPhone or any phone camera or a bridge or even a DSLR for that matter, and you can change it and make it something that is really, really worth hanging at the end of the day. So I hope you found that informative, and until next time, this is Tommy that's saying if you like it, well, capture it and edit it, maybe in Photoshop. Ciao.